All right, welcome everybody. My name is Gaurav Shekhar and I'm the Program Director for the Graduate Business Analytics Flex and Online program here at UT Dallas. I'm very excited to have you today on our call. It's a special day for us, and why we call it special, we've just received our dose of annual snow here in Texas. And though it's not a phenomena that we see very often, it's, the last time we had it was almost a year ago. So it's always good to see some snow, a little bit for a couple days. The university, as a result of it, was shut down for today for any classes or events. But as I said, it's just once on a blue moon that we have such a situation. But it's always good to escape the Texas heat. And the one thing that you may have read about Texas is that the weather, you can have all four seasons in one day. So right now, what we are enjoying is the snow, and of course, our students are excited about, you know, enjoying the snow. A lot of Instagram reels or Facebook posts are coming up, but we are here to talk about the program because you have shown interest, and we are excited to have you join us on this journey. So the session today, the format is very simple. I'll talk about the program for about 15-20 minutes. We do have a special guest today that will talk about some funding opportunities, and then we'll jump into questions and answers. If you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. That's the best way for us to take care of all the questions. We don't ask students to unmute and speak because that might end up taking more time than usual. But if you put your questions in the chat, we'll definitely take them up. All right, before we talk about business analytics at UT Dallas, you really need to understand why analytics at all. Why does the world care so much about analytics? And why is everybody running towards creating an analytics vertical, a practice in their organization? In fact, very recently, we started seeing a new title in the senior leadership of organizations called the CDO, Chief Data Officer. So definitely there is a shift in the industry that is propelling all these changes and the need for talent that can understand and speak the language of data. Now, it's not a very difficult question to ask that why do people need to understand the language of data? Because there is only data that is surrounding you. In fact, any application that you build, any software that you build, the reason for those is to manage data. So then when the whole focus is around data management and data, we do need people who can speak the language and understand what exactly those trends are, those patterns are. How do we extrapolate those numbers to the future to figure out how we are doing, or what our successes would be, what our losses would be. And if we are able to predict the future, that's exactly what companies want to do. Now, gone were the days where people just looked at experience and they said that, what, here is why we're going to do a certain thing, because in our experience, we feel this is how it will work. People are now tying themselves back to data-based decision making. Because when you have solid data, why do you want to go with something which is uncertain? You have strong patterns, you have historical reports, you have everything ready for you. Use that to make decisions, and that's where every executive is gravitating towards. Now, can we tie this to only computer science or IT related organizations? Not really, because every organization has some presence of digital systems or applications. So yes, the presence of data is inevitable. So whether you're talking about the tech or the financial sectors, to real estate, healthcare, oil and natural gas, you name it, and they need analytics. They need the ability to speak the language. But what is a good and a bad situation here? The bad situation is for the industry because they have a very big need for data and business analytics professionals. But the stock that is out there available, the trained practitioners are very few. So all of you who are deciding to jump on this have really caught on it in the early phases. In spite of the fact that this has been out there for a few decades, you still are in the early phases of analytics. The other good thing is, in terms of the longevity of your career in analytics, it's the longest career right now. It's going to be the longest because whether you are a executive or you are a fresher in the organization, there is a need to understand analytics, which is only growing. In fact, a lot of things that we talk about these days, things around natural language, around AI, machine learning, in the last 5 to 10 years, they have evolved the most. So we are looking at some of the newest trends, and people who are trying to get into analytics are really still kind of the first set of practitioners, or the first batch of, or the first age of practitioners that are getting onto this. Why UT Dallas when it comes to business analytics? Our flexibility. The number one thing, you as a student decide how you want to go about your academic journey, in what order you want to take your courses, what courses you want to take. There are too many options out there. And I'm going to show you the catalog in a few minutes. Engagement is another thing that we very heavily focus on, because if what you're doing in your classrooms is one thing, and yes, within the classrooms, there are a lot of engagement opportunities with the instructor, with your group members, with your peers, and all. But we want to give you the platform so that you are engaged outside of the class as well. You're talking and to executives, rubbing shoulders with them at panels. You are in competitions, you are in events, you are networking. You are doing a lot of things outside of the classroom that factors into your experience, not only your experience, but also the results that you achieve, the results you want to achieve from all those experiences, like a good internship, a good job, a good network. All of that happens through engagement. And at the Jindal School of Management, we take a lot of pride in the fact that our hallways, they hustle and bustle with these executives. We are in Dallas Fort Worth, one of the fastest growing metroplexes in the world when it comes to any kind of industry. We're not like the East Coast, which is mostly financial sector, or the West Coast, which is tech. We are like an intersection of all of it. And if you've been following the news about Texas, you can see a lot of companies are moving their headquarters right here in the heart. Very close to the UTD campus, we have the Toyota North America headquarters that moved here a few years ago. Tesla has moved to Austin, which is like 2.5 hours from Dallas Fort Worth. So again, there are big companies, and in fact, when you talk about Fortune 500, 24 of them have their headquarters right here in the Dallas Fort Worth area. So in terms of jobs, in terms of where you can get your next employment, there are thousands of opportunities right in your neighborhood. But having said that, our students still go and they work in all 50 states, which is a big feat for us. The last thing that is important for us is we are very focused on outcomes, which means when we do something, we do gauge the results, we do gauge the impact, we do gauge, did it help our student body? Did it help our students get to where they want to? Because it makes no sense for us to just keep doing stuff if it is not yielding the value that you as a student expect. Okay, our focus is students, to be very honest. And it is a no-brainer to say that, because if students are not there and they are not happy, then any other thing in the university cannot exist. Whether it is our staff and faculty or our research facilities or some other facilities that we have, if students are not there, why students will keep being there? Because they're happy. So our focus is on students to make sure that you achieve your goals. And then when you get that next internship, when you get that full-time job, when you get that professional and personal success, that does factor back into the reputation of the school and a lot of things that we do here. So definitely our focus is you and your success. And that's why we are focused on outcomes of everything that we do at UT Dallas. What does the program entail? Well, as I said, there are 10 different tracks, which has close to 75 plus courses that are out there as options. It's a 36 credit hour program. Half of the degree is core classes, which means the same set of 6 courses every student would take. And by the way, every core course that we have or elective that we have, it's of 3 credits. So 18 credits means 6 courses. Every student gets to go through the core classes, and then based on what your need is, what your interest is, you take up the electives. Now, the tracks that are listed below are the 10 tracks that we have: accounting, cybersecurity, data science, data engineering, decision and operation analytics, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, and enterprise systems. It's up to you which one you want to pick up. You want to pick data science and take all the courses from that? Absolutely, you can do that. You want to take one course from 6 different tracks? You can do that. See, that's where the flexibility comes in. It's a STEM designated program, which means that if you are an international student, you will end up getting that extended OPT. The additional 24 months on top of the first year that you get is possible through this program. At the same time, if you're a domestic student, you still have a lot of benefit because a lot of companies look for STEM graduates. And STEM graduates definitely have an upper hand when it comes to things like salaries and all because of the skill set that you bring to the table. We offer admissions in all 3 cycles, fall, which starts in August, spring, which starts in January, and summer, which starts in May. Another reason to choose us is we are the largest in the country. We have over 1,000 students in the graduate program, and our big numbers is our strength as well. Because when you talk about these 70 plus courses, they cannot happen if we were a small program of 40, 50 students. Because in 40, 50 students, you cannot offer a lot of electives. Technically, everybody ends up taking the same courses. So our large numbers are the reason why we have so much of breadth in terms of our curriculum. Now, 1,000 doesn't mean that all 1,000 of them sit in one class. No. All 1,000 students, they may have started their program at different times in different semesters. And in a class, if it's a core class, you'll have 50 to 60 students. If it's an elective, you might have anywhere from 20 to 50 students. So yes, there's a cap on how many students you see in a section. But then we have multiple sections, let's say, for the same course, if there is a huge demand for a particular course, like that. Our big numbers have not dented our ability to have high starting salaries. And we still see $100,000, that range of 95 to 100 being the average. Why that happens? And this is what we're talking about, average salary. So this means a student who may have no experience and getting a full-time job to somebody who's who has come to the program with some experience. The highest salaries that have gone in the program in the last 2-3 years has been in the range of 250 to 300K. Yes, those people definitely have some experience as well before they get on those jobs. But the fact that a fresher or somebody with a couple of years of experience can also hit that 100K is a big testament to the fact that our program is valued in the industry. The other thing that really I like is the fact that despite the fact we have large classes graduating, for example, the last 2 springs, which means May 21 and May 20, we had 300 plus students graduating from the program, and still those starting salaries stayed there. If you do the math, if it's a big program, definitely that number should somewhere dwindle, but it doesn't because of the quality of students that are coming out of the program. We have partnerships with dozens of companies, and when I say partnership, this simply means that it's not like we are on a high-hello basis with the companies. These companies, they work with us on projects, research, they hire continuously with us. They will be on our advisory board. They will be there as guest speakers in our classrooms. They will be serving as judges. We mutually have each other on speed dial. So tomorrow, if they need, let's say, some interns, or they need people to fill in their full-time positions, the whole cycle of recruitment is so short because we have this established relationship. And they know that any given point of time they'll come to UTD, to us, we will have the candidates ready for them. There's a high return on investment. And having said that, we recently had a webinar on financial planning. I would strongly recommend that you go there to our YouTube channel, the Jindal School of Management YouTube channel, and we have the recording there. Please see what the different scenarios are there that can help students in terms of funding. But UT Dallas is ranked #1 in the state of Texas when it comes to return on investment. And the business analytics program, of all the programs, we've got about 140 different programs in the university. They're right on the top when it comes to return on investment, just because our students are able to make these high salaries. And because they make these high salaries, what we see is, even if the entire uh, uh, education is supported by a loan, students are paying back in like 3.5 years. We recently had a student who paid back in 10 months. And I'm not saying that these students are hand to mouth and they're not really having the best of the life because they have to pay back their education loan. They're living comfortably, they're having great lives, they do all fun activities, they're able to support their families too, on top of paying back their loan. We have had 500 to 600 internships in the last any year that you pick up, and the average pay has been $24 to $26 an hour, which is also in line with what we see with our salaries. So the ratio between internships and full-time jobs is 1:2. You earn $1 as an intern, you earn 2 as a full-timer, and these numbers are in line with that too as well. I mean, having said that, we have had interns which earned upwards of $100 an hour as well. Not neglecting that, but these are averages. There are different formats. The Flex program is where we have all the 10 tracks and the 10 different buckets of courses available. It's face-to-face. 85% of the classes are face-to-face. There are online options as well. It's self-paced and state-funded, which means as you take more and more credits in a semester, your per credit hour rate goes down. In fact, after 12 credits, there's no tuition. You can take more than 12 credits and still not pay any additional tuition. We also have 2 other special programs that are self-funded, cohort and online. And in the cohort program, we have the 2 tracks, data science and accounting analytics. Now, both of them are in the Flex program as well, but just for cohort, we have those 2 tracks there. They're face-to-face and they are also self-paced, and there are some scholarship opportunities which are specific to cohort. In the Flex program also, you can go for the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. And if you get that scholarship, even if you're an outside of Texas resident or an international student, you end up getting the in-state tuition benefit, apart from the $1,000 that you'll get as part of the Flex program, Dean's Excellence Scholarship. We also have the online program. This is mostly for domestic people. Mostly working professionals are the ones that end up taking this. But again, if you are in in the US and you want to harp onto a online program, this is another option. Data science and data engineering are the 2 tracks that we have there, and it's 100% online, which makes it even better when it comes to having handle over your time. We have GRE and GMAT waivers available and scholarships. And by the way, while you're applying to the Flex program, we do need a GRE or GMAT if you want to go for the scholarship. But in case you want to go for a waiver, once you apply, you will need to send us an email and we can definitely give you, we can evaluate your profile to see if you will get a waiver or not. What do we need for your application? We need a GRE or GMAT score, and as I said, waivers are available. Once you have submitted your application, you can send an email to jsomgradvising@utdallas.edu and request a waiver. But as I said, if you're going for a scholarship, we need a GRE GMAT. Transcripts are needed. Unofficial ones will do for the decision, and once the decision is rendered, if you're admitted, we would like to have your official transcripts as well. Let's say you don't have your transcripts, you have your individual mark sheets, send that to us when you apply. We need your resume because your work history is required. We need to know what your work experience is, because work experience is one of the things that we need. However, if you don't have significant work experience, or you have done a few internships and all, still apply. We will evaluate everything on your resume to make a determination whether we would need any work experience from you or not, or we are going to waive it. So if you don't have any work experience, don't just stop applying. We will still evaluate whether the waiver can be given to you. A letter of recommendation, we would need 3 letters of recommendation. And at least one of them needs to be a professional reference. Now, when I say professional reference, this doesn't mean that this has to be your employer. It could be somebody in the industry that you know that can write a letter of recommendation for you. And then the personal objective statement or the essay, a 1-page double-spaced essay is okay. But if it goes beyond 1 page, don't worry, just submit it. This is where you tell us why UT Dallas, why MSB, and how does this degree factor in your future? There isn't any application fee waiver that we give unless you are an alum of UT Dallas or a current student at UT Dallas pursuing another program. Just a quick look into our internships. There were about 500 of them that were pursued in the last academic year with about 360 employers. And if you can see, a quarter of them were in the IT and software space. The rest of them, 3/4 of them, were in other industries, which tells you the expanse of need that business analytics has. Despite the fact that a lot of places, restricted travel and all, but our students still ended up working in a lot of different states. The averages in terms of the internships are, last summer, the averages touched $26, which has been the highest so far. So even with COVID, we are seeing a good increase in terms of the pay that our students are making with the max of 105. I strongly recommend that you go and hop onto LinkedIn and search for #UTDMSBA. You will see that there are a lot of different stories, and in fact, a few thousands of stories of people's internship, and these are first-hand experiences of what they have done in these organizations. And if you are curious about what they are doing, well, here is how you read about it. Look for these stories. As I said, they are unmoderated. They are first-hand experiences. And students talk about how they got the internship, what they did there. Maybe tomorrow, your dream company that you want to work at, there is an MSBA student who has already been there. And this could be a good way for you to learn what exactly is needed to be successful in these companies. We have a lot of student organizations on campus, 350 plus. And this is, out of those 350, we have about 70 of them in the School of Management. And out of those 70, I would say these are the ones where most of our business analytics students are engaged. They are student leaders as well. I talk about Salesforce, SAP, Toastmasters, Women in Technology, Envision, Marketing Analytics, Intelligent Analytics, Cybersecurity. There are tons of these clubs that are out there that's run by our students. And in terms of, if there is nothing that is there that excites you, you can start your own student organization. And as I said, each one of them has been started by a student. So definitely a lot of opportunities to flex your muscles and really figure out how to get something started at UTD. Some bonus certificate programs that we have, and these are all carved out of our degree programs. These programs, these certificates, these are graduate certificates, okay? They're not any certification, but graduate certificates. Of course, they have a lot of weight because they are issued by a state university. So let's say the Applied Machine Learning certificate. You take 4 courses that are listed as part of that, and those 4 courses will give you credit towards your degree program as well as the certificate. Each of these certificates, depending on your residency, is anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000. And just by taking those set of courses, you end up getting something worth $20,000 for free. You don't have to pay tuition twice. In fact, a lot of our students end up getting these certificates even before they get their degree. So what they do is they use these graduate certificates as a way to tell their employers for internships or full-time jobs that they have already completed a program and here is what they specialize in. Our contact details, our direct email address, our direct phone numbers, and our email addresses. But apart from this, we have MSBUA, and I'm going to put that in the chat. If you have questions, you can always post questions there as well, and we'll be happy to help. I just wanted to show you the catalog page that we have. So the 18 credits that we were talking about are courses around econometrics, databases, a foundational business analytics course, which is offered with SAS or R, depends on what you want to take. predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and of course the advanced statistics. This is a solid core that every student gets. And then on top of it, you have the different tracks: accounting, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science. Again, your degree will not say MS in business analytics and concentration in data science or whatever it is. These are just our way of telling you that, okay, if you take a certain course, in which area will it help you? So if you tomorrow come to me and ask, I want to specialize in data science, what courses I can take? These are the courses that will help you towards data science. But they have more than 70 courses, 75 courses out there that you can take. And you can mix and match between tracks. You can take all the courses from the same track. It's up to you because we give you that freedom. Another thing is, I just talked about the graduate certificates. I'll just take an example of the graduate certificate in machine learning. We have 4 courses here: machine learning, natural language processing, the foundational BA, business analytics course, and the stats course. These 2 are your core classes. So if you're an MSBA student, you anyways are completing half of the certificate. It's just a matter of taking the other 2 courses to just complete the certificate. And a lot of our students do get an additional certificate because, again, why would you want to miss something which is expensive? There are students who just come for the certificate and end up spending anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000. And for a degree-seeking student at UTD, this is free. So all you have to do is just take those courses. All right. At this point, I would like to call in our friends from GradRight to go about and maybe share your screen. There you go. Shashi, very
Hello.
good to see you.
Very nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Well,
me?
the stage is yours. Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. So tell me, how can our students fund their education? That's the number one question that is on their minds.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation with the students. Firstly, to briefly introduce myself, my name is Sashidhar, and I'm from the founding team of a company called GradRight. And in fact, I was in the US, for my second graduate program. I did it from the East Coast, from the University of Pennsylvania. I wrote 5, probably now 6 years back. So I'm excited to talk to students all the time because I enjoyed my journey to the US and those 2 years that I spent there. And I came back to India after completing my coursework to set up GradRight. And in fact, just 3 months back, I was on campus of UT Dallas and met Professor Gaurav. And it's whatever he said, I can tell you that it is what I experienced on campus, the hustle and bustle of, the Jindal School of Management, the idea of actually companies being on speed dial. That probably we have seen that even with scholarships being given on the day that I was there. So it's very exciting to see that, you guys are considering UT Dallas. I wish I can do my 3rd graduate program at UT Dallas sometime. So with that context, I'll also address one small point. As a company listening to this, I can tell you that for the last 3 years that we survived and did grow tremendously and very positively at our EdFintech startup, I could see that the importance of data. I resonate completely. Data is a need, and I'm excited that courses like business analytics bring that to the forefront. And looking at the tracks, I'm committed to turn back to UT Dallas with every year as and when we can, and come back and we're able to hire people. This is the place that I probably would come back to. So from that lens, I'm totally excited as a company looking at those tracks, the data engineering, financial analytics, the operations analytics. These are extremely relevant for us as a company and in this space in the financial sector, based on conversations we have been having for banks across the world. So with that, I will dive in, specifically talk about what probably is on the mind of Gaurav and also the other students. I'll tell you briefly what problems are we addressing. We are an EdFintech startup. EdFintech startup launched or based on the US and launched a pilot in India. And what we did for the Indian students over the last year, 1.5 years of launch, is that we created an option where they can find a loan guarantee, the best loan guarantee that is possible through a process. Now I'm going to talk about why we focused on, student loans or what we see generally, and probably some of you might be resonating with this idea. There are three main problems that we saw. The first one being banks actually understanding students, right? We talked about data and analytics. If you look at the last 10, 15 years, this is the time when banks started to look at education or funding students towards education. And many of us many of these students, but I come from a middle class family, and I couldn't afford, out of my pocket for sure. And probably it is sometimes wise to take an education loan, even if you can afford, considering some of the tax benefits. But if at all we have to, enable banks, sorry, there's probably some crosstalk that's coming in. May I request anyone who is unmuted to mute, please?
So you might get muted for a second.
Yep.
But just unmute yourself now.
Perfect. Thank you, Gaurav. And so the three problems are: one, banks, the financial institutions across the world, they are not used to understanding students and programs, and which programs are high return programs, and how do we understand risk associated with it, with funding students towards good programs. So that is something that is, that's a void to be filled in the sector, right? The second one, because of that, the students often get very costly loans because they don't understand risk. The banks, what usually do is that if I don't know, let me increase the interest rate, because if I don't know, that is uncertainty. That means, I will charge a little more so that I can get covered if at all I'm wrong, right? The second problem is, right now, every student, and I come from India, and many students probably are from India here, what we see is that working with banks and finding out if they can offer you the best loan is not a very transparent system, right? You will be talking to someone, they will say that there is a 12% interest rate that they can offer, but you never know whether that can be actually a 10% interest rate or not. It really depends on whether you challenge them with the right information, whether you go as a group and talk to them and negotiate your way through, or you have them compete with another offer that you already have. So there are many ways to negotiate, and it is too much of a burden for students to find these, and they often end up at costly loans unnecessarily for especially high return programs like UT Dallas business analytics programs. And what we see is the third problem is the entire tedious process, right? You have to walk into the branch, you have to try different, talking to 5 different companies, you try to understand which one is actually fooling you, what are the hidden terms, are you really taking a good loan or not? So we created a marketplace to address these 3 problems. And what we did is that we got all the education lenders in India on a loan bidding platform. And if you go to gradright.com, that's what you will find as one half of the product, which is the loan bidding product, where all banks compete on anonymous profiles of students. And, that's something that, interestingly took off considerably over the last 1.5 years. And we are at about $500 million of loan requests on the platform till this point. And we're growing towards $1.5 billion in the next, 12 months. So it's an exciting phase for us as a company because we got banks more accountable and transparent for the students. And particularly for UT Dallas Business Analytics Flex program, what we could see is that there are options that are actually, probably covering the entire expense that you have at the program, just because it's one of the most solid programs where there is high return on investment, as Gaurav pointed out. And this is not just a data point that we're talking over webinars, but this sits in the data that we have and also the data that some of these banks have over the last 5-6 years, wherein thousands of students actually have, these 40, 50, 60 lakhs, or you could say in the range of about $70,000, $80,000 and $90,000, loan requests that came in. And of course, depending on the program, depending on the cost, it would not be that expensive at times. Now, usually for business analytics program, you would see a $60,000 loan ticket or $70,000 at max. All of this is comfortably covered by banks without you actually pointing out a collateral, in some cases, not even a cosigner, just because they value, some of these banks, and each bank will value different data point. Someone would value your father's credit score if he comes in as a cosigner. Some banks would value the UT Dallas program itself and what it does in those 2 years, right? And what happens after that. So there are a lot of variations from one bank to the other. And what we are able to see is that within 1 day of you registering on gradright.com, you could comfortably look at the personalized offers for your program, for your profile, for your academic profile, with your GRE score, with your family's background. What is the offer that is available, and make all the banks compete for you towards lowering their interest rate and making sure that you get the best offer at the end of the day. So that's what we are, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, considering that we have worked with many students going to the US, going to business analyst programs across the US, and specifically with a ton of students who went to UT Dallas last year. So with that, I'll not take more time, and I'll probably wait for questions, and based on that, we can take this conversation forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for talking about GradRight with us, Shashi. It's always a pleasure to hear what you have to offer, and I'm sure that students will be, interested in reaching out to you through the platform. I just want to let every student know we have a lot of different partners who, from whom our students have taken loans in the past. Now, again, this is not an official recommendation, but however, we have seen students reach out to such platforms like GradRight in the past to avail loans, and you can explore this yourself to see whether this is the right forum for you to take an education loan or not. But at this point of time, I would like to move on and look at the long list of questions that has been growing in the chat.
Sure.
I always like this part. This feels like rapid fire to me. The questions, the answers. So let's see. And Shashi, if you don't mind just being on the call for a few more minutes, because if there is something specific to GradRight, we'd like you to answer that.
Absolutely, happy to.
All right, so moving on. The first question is, I've got an admit in ITM and I need to start the scholarship process. How long will the process take? Well, once you submit your application, I would say our committee meets every 2 or 3 weeks. And what they do is they go over your profile. In case you are somebody who matches our current criteria for the scholarship, you end up getting the scholarship right then and there. If not, then what they do is they will put your name back into the pool. And once you have, again, after 2-3 weeks, they will evaluate. And in case you get it this time, you will be informed. If not, they will put your name back again in the pool. However, they will continue to do this until about May 1st, which is our official deadline. And after that, if you don't end up getting the scholarship, you'll get a reject. But honestly, if you don't see your name pop up, or you don't see any kind of update from the scholarship committee in the first few weeks, don't be disheartened. Sometimes it takes a couple of months before your name is picked up or you are eligible for that scholarship. But then it all depends on the pool, and there is no fixed number on which we can put our finger and say that if you get this, then definitely you will have a scholarship for sure. I mean, the only thing I can say is if you have a 340 on GRE and 800 on GMAT, your chances are very strong. But that's the only thing that I can say right now. By the way, those are the maximum scores. If you are one of them, definitely we'll reach out to you. Can you please suggest if there is any difference between Flex and Cohort in terms of the data science track as far as with the curriculum? It seems exactly the same. So a few differences that are there as, again, when you specifically talk about data science, one of the things that we do in Flex is we might have more options in terms of instructors because there are more sections that we open up for the courses that are in the same track. Okay, and then in Flex, let's say tomorrow, and this happens a lot of times when students come to UT Dallas, they come with a plan and then they study for 1 semester and now they're like, you know what, I'm interested in 4 more things that I never knew about. Flex gives you that opportunity to move around those tracks very well. But in terms of the offering, again, if you want to select an instructor of your choice, there will be more options for certain courses in the data science track when it comes to Flex. But yes, there is a possibility that maybe the instructor that you want also teaches the same class in the core program also. Harsha, for the website it mentioned, can you please let me know what's the duration? So the Flex program, the minimum number of months in which you can finish it is 9 months, 2 long semesters. You load up 18 and 18 courses. That's the max you can take in a semester, and you're done with the degree. The max is 72 months, but most of our students end up being in the program for 3 to 4 long semesters, which is 17 to 22 months. OPT is for 24 months or 36. Well, when I said you get the additional 24 months, which means any student in the US, if you are pursuing a program, you'll get the first OPT, an international student, for 1 year. After that 1 year, if it's a STEM designated program, you get the additional 24 months. So the total duration is 36, and we are a STEM designated program. So you'll get the total OPT you'll get is 36 months. And the CPT, which is your internship, curricular practical training, is 1 year. So in all, on your student visa, F1 visa, you end up working for 1 + 3 years. Aditya, I've received the admit in mid-January. I applied for the scholarship as well. How should I proceed now? Well, the committee will be in touch in case you end up getting the scholarship. Just wait for some time. Make sure that your official scores are reported, whether it's a GMAT or a GRE. It needs to be sent to us. We need those official scores before we can evaluate your scholarship application. Is there a deadline? Not really. I mean, the sooner the better, but there is no absolute deadline. Do that before the semester begins. But remember, you will need, if you're an international student, you'll have to work your way backwards. From the time you start classes. How do you start classes? By being in the US. How do you be in the US? By getting a visa. How do you get a visa? By getting an I-20. So if you have to work that timeline backwards, it's easily a 2-3 month window that you're looking at. So if you are for fall 22, which is mid of August, then at least somewhere around June 1st, you should have things in place, like, at least getting your I-20s in place. And yes, of course, accept the admit. And by the way, there's no fee to accept the admit, so you are not held up for accepting the admit. What is state funded? State funded means that, like our Flex program, which is the state funded program. This means that the tuition is governed by how, in accordance to the norms of the state of Texas, which means if a student becomes a TA in the Flex program, then even if you were paying out of state tuition, you now have the ability to pay in-state tuition fee. That's what state funded is. The other thing state funded means, if you add up more credits in a semester, then your per credit hour rate goes down. The cap for tuition is 12 credits, but if you end up taking 15 credits, credit number 13, 14, 15 is free for you. That is state funded. If you get a Dean's Excellence Scholarship for $1,000, and if you're an out-of-state student, you end up getting in-state tuition rates. That is what state funded is. For any of the other formats that we have, that doesn't happen. Now, having said that, there are other scholarship options for the cohort program, and you can reach out to the cohort program for the same. Oh, Hemal, thank you for putting that. Are there any TRA opportunities? Absolutely, they are in, and you are eligible for them after the first semester. We want you to spend at least 1 semester at UT Dallas, and if we pick you up as a TA, then the pay is about $1,000 per month after taxes, and you also get the in-state tuition rates, the ability to pay those rates. This is for the Flex program. In the core program, they have a different way of hiring TAs, and I would recommend you reach out to them directly. What is the application fee for international students? It's $50 for the application. Another $50 to evaluate your degrees. So don't get any evaluation done. You simply have to just go ahead and pay that $50, and UT Dallas will review it for you, and they will do the evaluation. Because we have our own scales on which we evaluate. We convert your degrees into your percentage or your CGPAs into the American 4.0 scale. and we do that, and that's why it's $50. However, if you miss the deadline, which is May 1st for fall 22 and March 1st for summer 22, and you still end up sending an application after that, we will accept your application. We will assess it. There will be a $75 late fee. So the $100 of regular application fee that you see is actually $50 for application and $50 for evaluation of foreign credentials. I previously read on the website that we need one letter of recommendation. I have already applied. Would that put me at a disadvantage? Well, Ashar, if you have applied already, let that be for now, because this change about 3 letters of recommendation is a recent change. It's not even a week old. So if somebody is yet to apply, please go ahead and send us the 3 letters. Now you can send in the application, and your letters of recommendation can come later on, which is okay. What is the yearly tuition fees? Well, the yearly tuition fee really depends on the number of credits you're taking, if you have a scholarship or TA-ship and all that stuff. But I'll tell you, the range is somewhere from close to about $40,000 all the way to about $65,000, assuming all these different permutations and combinations like credit hours, your TAs, TA-ships, RA-ships, or scholarships. On top of it, in terms of your living expenses, now again, living expenses it's a lifestyle expense. If you have the way you live, and if it's more expensive, it's more expensive. But what we've seen is, on an average, anywhere between $600 to $1,000 is what our students spend on a monthly basis. This covers their rent, any utilities, groceries, any change that they need for miscellaneous expenses. All that is about $600 to $1,000. That's the range. As I said, it's a lifestyle expense. You find ways to save money, you can. Like, for example, we have, there are 2 things that we have the most on campus, more than anything, and that's sodas and pizzas. So a lot of students end up, going to a lot of events, and you have your free food and stuff, and that's how they save on a lot of groceries. Not saying that they're trying to minimize those expenses by excessively going to these events, but what happens is, when you are in a university that has lots of events, well, events do come with food as well. We also have something called the Comet Cupboard, and once you're at UT Dallas students are called Comets. We have a Comet Cupboard where you can go and issue 3 items of food for free. And when I say 3 items of food, it could be anywhere from a ramen packet to a big box of oats or cereal or whatnot it is. So there are lots of ways through which you can save money on campus as well. And then, being a UT Dallas student, there are tons of things that are free to you. There's a full-blown gymnasium activity center which is free, and that has tons of activities. You want to do fencing at UT Dallas, you can do that for free. You want to do rock climbing, that's free. You want an Olympic-size pool, that's free. Badminton, table tennis, I mean, you can name any game, and that's there out for free for you. And then, being a UT Dallas student, you also get a lot of discounts, on your student card. For example, the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, which is our local public transportation system, you just need to go in and show your student ID, and it's free for you. So there are a lot of ways through which you can save money. Plus, there are a lot of vendors and companies with their products. It could be banks, it could be grocery stores and whatnot. You get discounts there as well. What you have to learn here is, and this is, there's a concept of extreme couponing, where people use a lot of coupons and all to save money. I mean, it's the same way, extreme deals, that you have deals and deals and deals everywhere. All you have to do is just spend some time to find them, and you can save a lot of money there. I know that was a very long answer to a very short question about tuition, but I wanted to let you know that, because see, when you see it from outside, it might feel impossible to do these degree programs because they're so expensive. But then, we break it down for you to let you know what those costs are and how do you cover those costs. And this is not just me speaking. I mean, I'm speaking to you as a former student myself, who put money into UTD and knows how it works. And then, along with me, there are thousands and thousands of students who have done this successfully. So absolutely, it is possible. Okay, Monica, on the website, it is mentioned at least 1 LOR and not 3. Well, this is a new change. Maybe not all sections of our website is updated now, but if you're still applying, there will be 3 needed. For now, go ahead and submit your application. And as I said, if the LORs come later on, that is fine for us. That is fine. AP, if your application is submitted, just let it be for now. In case the admissions committee desires additional LORs, we will reach out to you. But if you have submitted an application, that's fine. What is the tuition fee for entire MSBA Flex if we were given GRE and will completely? Yes, so for scholarship, the first year scholarship, we will definitely need a GRE or GMAT. Now, again, that's not the only thing that we look into. But what it does is, see, a standardized test like GRE or GMAT helps us standardize the academic ability somewhere. And that's why we ask for it, because you might come from, and there are students that come from 50 different universities. We can't really go and compare the scales of each university with one another. So that's where we need a standardized test like GRE or GMAT to help us with that. But if you are a continuing student scholarship seeker, which is every fall you can apply for a continuing student scholarship, at that point of time, we don't need your GRE, GMAT. All we need is your current GPA at UT Dallas and your current profile, what you have done at UT Dallas. Do we choose new elective courses each year or each semester, or courses which we choose throughout the program? Well, this is throughout the program. And again, you don't come to us and tell us, I want a certain track or a certain course. You just go in and register yourself. Varun Reddy, is a professional loan sanction letter enough for issuing I-20? Yes, so if you have a loan letter, that is enough. That tells our ISSO that you have funds secured, and that's why we need the loan letter, because that tells us that yes, these are secured loans for you. Now, whether the organization requires, the banking institution requires collateral or not is a thing that you take care between yourself and that bank. But for UT Dallas, all we need is the letter. There's a delay in submitting, Parinita, this is delay in submitting my LOR. Is there a last date to apply? Well, if there is a delay, not a problem. Go ahead, at least put the name and email address of the person who's submitting your LOR, and we will wait. No issues. Please through maximum Sahil. So the maximum duration is 72 months, 6 years. Nobody takes 6 years. I haven't seen anybody do that. The minimum is 9 months, but 9 months also, even though it can be done, it's like taking too many courses and just piling yourself up with courses. Most of the students take 3 to 4 semesters, which is 17 to 22 months. Harshita, recently my 5th semester exams, but the valuation period will be out by March. Is it possible to accept my application and keep? Harshita, the university will accept if there is any missing transcripts, but all they do is they let you submit your application if the last semester's mark sheet are missing. So until then, whatever semesters you have, if you are in a 3-year program, then we need your 5 semesters. If you're in a 4-year program, then we need 7 semesters worth of mark sheets. But you can always send an email to JSOM GR Advising. I showed their email a few minutes ago, and just let them know what you're waiting on. When will the scholarship dates be out? I think you're asking for the results. Again, the deadline is May 1st for fall 22. I strongly recommend do not wait until May 1st. Submit it as soon as possible, because there is a higher probability of you getting a scholarship now as opposed to May 1st. But the results are rolled out on a rolling basis. Manideep, if you have not submitted your application, the new guidelines requires us to have 3. Whatever you have so far, just go ahead and submit that. And even if the 3rd or the 2nd LOR comes later, that's fine. Can the summer intake admits apply for scholarship? We don't have any scholarships for summer. If you get a full-time job with the role of software developer, will the ISSO allow us to take that? Nayan, it doesn't matter which program you are in. For CPT and OPT, it has to be related to your coursework. If your coursework has courses around software development, absolutely you can go and do that. And in fact, a lot of courses that we have in the MSBA program is geared towards software or programming as well. Like, the foundational BA with R, you learn how to program in R. You take machine learning courses that is around Python. So there are a lot of courses that are sprinkled around programming. Now, there's no course which says, introduction to software development. There are courses around, let's say, some programming languages, like we have OOPS with Java, OOPS with Python, those kind of courses. So till the time you have taken the courses that satisfy all these parameters like software development. I mean, tomorrow, if you want to do low code development or testing, I teach a course around that, and that will help you in making that match between your job and what you've learned in the program. But remember, and this is for everybody, for every type of job that you're going, you can't say that I took a course and there was a 1 hour session on something and now I want to do a full-blown internship on that 1 hour thing that I learned for 1 hour. There has to be a substantial mapping between what you learned in the classes. See, CPT and OPT, the word that you have to stress on is practical training. Practical training means I learned something in the class and now I want an opportunity to practice it in the field, in the industry. So that's where that match has to be made. That mapping has to be made. You learn it, and then you get on an internship or a job. Manjari, I have received an admit and submitted the required. Will I be receiving an email saying that I've received the document and the duration? Yes, you should be receiving it. So it takes about 7 to 10 business days for ISSO to issue any I-20s, depending on the fact that you have submitted all the documents. And for the admissions committee, it's 4 to 6 weeks, but I've generally seen them turn around decisions in 2 to 3 weeks as well. But officially 4 to 6 weeks. Is GRE mandatory for scholarship application? Yes, GRE or GMAT. Usually what kind of profile is expected of a, well, Pratibha, a lot of things matter there. Your past history, your scholarship essay, your resume, your GRE, GMAT, your GPA, everything goes. We look at every application very holistically. There is no one thing that can make you the strongest candidate out there, and there is no one thing that will pull you down. We have sometimes students who have low scores on their GRE or GMAT, but then they have stellar GPAs and stellar work experiences, and we go with them. There are people who may have had a few semesters in their undergraduate degree that really pulled down their overall GPA, but then that had no bearing on the kind of work that they have done later. So we look at everything holistically and we see how you fare. Now, having said that, let's say you, throughout your journey as a student in the undergraduate degree, as a practitioner, with your GRE, GMAT, everything was on the lower side. Now that tells us that maybe it would be wrong to put you into such a quantitative program, because we have not seen any proof of excellence anywhere. And that's a problem. But if 1 or 2 things on your profile are not good, don't worry. Submit your profile. We definitely look at everything very closely before we make a decision whether the person should get in or not. Why should I prefer GradRight over Empower or Prodigy Finance? Now, I'm not sure whether Shashi can talk about Empower or Prodigy Finance, but at least, Shashi,
I can.
Why should I prefer GradRight? That you can answer.
Yes, thanks for asking. So, Empower Finance, Prodigy Finance, and there are 12 other lenders. We're all our partners. So the simple example that I would give is, if you have to book a flight ticket to Dallas from wherever you are you going to go to the airline's website, or are you going to look at makemytrip.com or Yatsa.com or Expedia and try to make sure that you save money and get the best deal and with all the extra deals and offers? That's what is GradRight. GradRight is a place where you have all the lenders in one place. To simply put, the reason is savings, and it's easy to get those savings. So savings really come from even a shift in 1% in the interest rate would mean about $10,000 to $15,000 over the life of the loan term. So it is a significant shift. So when you're looking at a 50,000 expenditure on a flight and you want to actually make sure you save money, think about what you could save on a 50 lakh, or $60,000, $70,000 kind of a loan that you might be taking. So that's the real crux of it. But most importantly, all the offers that we bring, because there are a ton of students who are working with us, and tens of students, for example, from UT Dallas, hundreds of students from different programs actually work with us on the platform. That enables the banks to actually create these offers. So that's why it is It's a place where you would find your savings. The other important point is the scholarships. So I see a lot of conversation around scholarships. So one of the things that we are doing is we make banks give scholarships. And that is because we know when we look at the entire profile, we evaluate. Sometimes we think, like students, we believe that scholarship should be coming in first, and then the loan amount should be backing it. So wherever there is possibility, we created one with Prodigy Grants last year. We are creating again for this year. So there are many scholarships that are getting created this year, considering the number of students who are using the platform and availing their loans. So I'll pause there. We're happy to talk more. I want to address one small question, if it is okay, Gaurav, which is around the May 1 deadline that someone was referring to. The other reason to apply early is, in fact, May would be a little too late to really get together all the loans and visa and organize things. You can still do it, but you will have to compromise on a certain loan offer or your process. And it really is slow in some of the banks in that peak season. So don't wait for a time when everyone moves. Rather, move earlier than what you can, and push yourself on that a bit, so that it will help you smoothen the journey towards your flight.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Shashi. And in fact, just adding to that, even with your visas and all, you would like to have your I-20s and stuff in place early on, so that in case there is any chaos around visa dates, or you're not able to get any dates of your choice, anything after June and all may have a lot of traffic. So I would recommend that get your admission related things, your scholarship related things, scholarship, of course, your application. But then if you're going for a loan or anything, just have that done as quickly as possible, so that you have the I-20 in your hand, and then you can move on with your visa appointments and all. We are right at the top of the hour here. We've gone 6 minutes over, but what I'll do is I'll take the last set of questions, and any question that is already answered, I'll just skip that. Nana, there is no particular deadline for it to be accepted. Average number of students, well, that can change for us. There is no exact number. What we do is we go by an academic profile, and if you fit that profile, we end up giving scholarships. Nishant, if you can send it to 6897 from your ETS profile, that's the school code 6897. If it comes to UT Dallas, that's all. You don't have to really specify any department. You can select any department for that matter, but it'll come to us. Shashank, we talked about the process. Shashank, does IELTS official score? So IELTS is not mandatory if you are part of certain countries. So again, you can just type English proficiency requirement UT Dallas, and the first link that comes up shows you the list of countries for which IELTS, TOEFL, any English proficiency is waived. What we are looking for is the GRE or GMAT to start with. Harshit, is it required to accept or to be considered? Yes, Harshit, that is correct. You need to accept it. I received an admit from MSBA, but per the flexibility, scholarship, and tuition, I've also applied for MSBA Flex. Will I have to submit all my? No, if you have applied to one program and then you did another one as well, we don't need all your documents. We'll just simply use it from the other application. How long it takes for I-20? 7 to 10 business days. Reported, but I will be applying for MSBA now. It will if those results were sent to UT Dallas, we can always pick them up. Query would be considering. So Shubham, all your prior experience is always considered in some degree or shape. Depends on what kind of job you're going for. If your job really, if it helps your profile by putting your prior experience in place, yes, definitely they will go for it. However, if it's a very pointed need that they have, let's say they want somebody who can write good SQL queries, maybe a sales experience may not really work out for them, and they'll look for exactly what they're asking for. But as I said, your prior experience doesn't go for waste. You can always utilize it, if not immediately, maybe for a future role. Can we apply for accommodation on campus after arrival in case off campus? Okay, well, the wait time for the on-campus accommodation is significant. It's several months. So what I would recommend is apply for it now if you want to go for fall. However, off-campus accommodations as compared to on-campus are very easy to find, and there are much more options for off-campus accommodations. And there is a bus service between those off-campus communities that runs from 7 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. in the night, and that bus is available every 15 minutes. So that's why a lot of our students live off campus as well. Shubham, I have answered your question. GRE is enough for scholarship. Getting admitted. Anirudh, again, the chances, both the programs look at profiles the same way, but in case you're looking for more options in terms of courses, that's the flex program that you need to go with. Applied for deported, is there a deadline? Well, Likith, the committee is meeting over the scholarship applications, and they will start rolling out those results very soon. Yes, Krishna, we do. There is a first come first serve, because as you are done with your your orientation and stuff, and we do open the registration early, so you don't have to wait all the way until July end or August when you arrive here. These enrollments can be done as early as June, and we have opened enrollments in June for fall session for the last 2 years. Shashank, if you go with no scholarships, no TAships, etc., the fees that you're looking at is, again, it all depends on the number of courses that you take, but I would say a ballpark figure would be 60K.
And all of that would be covered through the education loans for UT Dallas BA Flex program.
Thank you, Shashi.
Without the need of the collateral. Yeah, sorry.
Without the need of the collateral. Can we just submit the current bank balance? Not applied. Well, Sakshi, if you can show the amount right now with your bank balances, absolutely, we will accept that. Now, people who don't have a scholarship, you will have to show $51,000 for an I-20, and if you have a scholarship, it will be $36,000. Aditya, I've sent the GRE to UT Dallas, but I've sent the GRE. Aditya, send an email to me and do list out when did you send this code and all. I will have somebody look into it and get back to you. Ajay, TOEFL is not required for scholarship. If you have one, submit it definitely, but we don't need it. And as I said, if you're part of one of those countries that for which we don't need a TOEFL, then no point sending it. Varun. Well, Varun, if a bank needs an I-20 to issue a sanction letter, you can get a letter from the bank stating how much of loan you will get and use that to get an I-20, and then as a confirmation, give that I-20 back to the bank. But generally, the way it works is you get the loan letter from the bank because you want to show the loan as part of the funds that you have that you will use to support your education. I've applied for dual degree MSB. How do I decide plan on my credit hours? Well, Parinita, there are multiple ways, as I said. The difference for you versus just a master's student would be 36 credits versus 63 credits. So for you, maybe another academic year, and you can always decide how you want to go about it. In fact, we'll get you in touch with some of our dual MSMBA students who can just help you in understanding how they went about their programs. Can I apply during fall? Sushmita, for you, the first semester when you can apply for a fall scholarship would be the second year, not the fall immediately, because for continuing students, they need to complete 12 credit hours by the end of spring. You who have started in summer would not meet that criteria. So right now, the internship requirement is 18 credit hours. Once you complete your 18 credit hours, you are eligible to do an internship. And we need at least a 3.0 to move forward with approving your internship. You have to be in good standing. Okay. Well, you can submit the deferral for your summer admit, and you will hear back in about 2 weeks. How can you reach out to GradRight, Sashi? GradRight.com. Oh, you answered that. Okay. In the Flex program, what other activities apart from completing credit hours? Well, Parini, a good question to ask because we started another program. I mean, this program has been there for 3 years now, but we do a mentoring program with chief executives where we pair one student with a chief executive every semester. And they have a 16-week long experience where they meet at least for 30 to 60 minutes every week. And they talk about a variety of things in terms of helping you build your profile, helping you with really getting along with your curriculum, your courses, and how do you stand out in the industry and get that dream job. So those are the kind of things that they help. Okay. What is the ideal GRE score getting admission to Flex? Vivek, again, there is no minimum, but if your GRE is too low, let's say 280s and all, or early 290s, we might not go for it. But as I said, we look at every application holistically. There is no one score we can say that at this score we will reject your application. Average score for GRE now, the average GRE for the program has been around 310, 312, and our average scores for the scholarship has been more than that. So that should tell you where exactly we stand. But as I said, apply because it all depends on the pool, and we yet don't know what that actual pool looks like. We just have one glimpse of what that pool looks like. But over the next few weeks, how does that pool change is something that we can only wait on. Would there be any on-campus jobs? I am so surprised that this question came now, but thank you for asking, Harshit. Yes, you can start working on campus, not as a TRA, but TRA is only in the second semester onwards. But you can work as an on-campus student worker from your first day. And most of these jobs, they pay anywhere from $8 to $15 an hour. You can work 20 hours a week, and a lot of our students do that. So absolutely, these jobs are available. I don't know how to call them good, but most of our on-campus jobs are around, we have dining jobs, parking and transportation. There are front desks, there are proctoring jobs, library. We have student workers in the program. For example, I have a student worker in the MSBA program, and that person helps with a lot of things that we do in the program. So those kind of jobs are there. In advising, there could be a data analysis, data collection, data entry, those kind of jobs as well. Average GMAT, I would say, would be, in the range of 650 to 650 onwards. That's the average again. 620 to 650 is the average range. But, as I said, there is no one score that can get you in or out. All right, that was the end of the rapid fire round here. Thank you so much for your patience, everybody, for all your questions. We do look forward to having you at UT Dallas, and special thanks to Shashi for coming in and talking about GradRight. And anybody who would like to get more information about it, you can reach out to GradRight. Their website is very easy to remember, gradright.com. But we will be in touch. We will come back with another webinar in 2 weeks. You don't wait until the next webinar because you can email your questions to us and we'll be happy to answer that. On that note, have a very safe weekend. Have a fun weekend. We look forward to you at UT Dallas, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.